Welcome to Hope and Tarot. I'm Hope, and today I'm going over the Judgment card, number 20 of the Major Arcana. This includes a little bit of numerology, astrology, and stories from the African American Tarot deck, as well as the Afro-Brazilian deck. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, on to the Judgment card, number 20 of the Major Arcana. This card comes out to represent some pretty remarkable transitions and phases and moments of our lives. Its prominence in your reading speaks to personal and global awakenings, hearing a calling, reviewing one's place and life in society, in the world, having a bird's eye view of your past and present circumstances, and being held accountable to yourself and to others. The energy behind this card could manifest in the form of a personal revelation, a moment of total release, that voice inside your head telling you to make a change, a literal announcement about something or someone from the past, or forgiveness and healing of old wounds, especially if it comes out with the Sun card. On a more collective scale, it represents things that bring legal and social justice, societal change, and large-scale consensus. And it speaks to the origins of the world, or the beginning of a new world. So when you hear the name of the card, Judgment, and look at the imagery in most decks, it might spark notions of Judgment Day, or the second coming of Christ from the Bible's book of Revelations, or the Day of Reckoning from other religions. In case you're not familiar with the concept, it's the proverbial day that all of our souls, both living and deceased, will be brought forth and judged by a higher power to receive a divine injunction of sorts. In a number of decks, you'll see the Judgment card illustrated as the Angel Gabriel, or Gabriel, as he's called sometimes. In the poem Paradise Lost, Gabriel is an important chief of angels who guards and surveils paradise. In a lot of Abrahamic religions, he interprets visions and prophecies and shows up for the last days on earth where the deceased are resurrected. And I once saw it put that the Judgment card represents the moment that you resurrect from your own way of being. So if you're feeling especially drawn to this card, or it feels drawn to you, you're either well into or at the cusp of an epiphany about something that leads you to take more correct judgment about your future. Look at the surrounding cards that come out to see if this is referencing a more joyful, dancing in the moonlight kind of revelation, or a wholly different kind of experience. The Judgment card is a fire card, so that means that we are talking about ushering in actions and detectable changes. The Judgment card being number 20 means that it's number 2 in numerology. This is the last 2 in the Major Arcana, and the number 2 vibrations that the Judgment card gives me are unified power and divine connections to the other side. And think about how a resurrection or awakening from the past can mean a second chance for you somewhere in the universe. The Judgment card is associated with Pluto, ruler of the underworld. And if there's a celestial body that can, quote, wake the dead, unquote, it's Pluto. In an astrological chart, harsh aspects of Pluto are associated with major life-altering events. In fact, the United States has just entered its historic 246-year Pluto return as I record this video. This means that the U.S. could have a whole different structure or an altered economy by 2023-24. Just like the Judgment card, Pluto has a detached neutrality to its renovations. So it really wakes us up so that we can truly be free from the past and transcend to a higher state of consciousness. In the African American Tarot deck over here, for the Judgment card, we see an illustration of the traditional funeral god of the Baule tribe in the Ivory Coast. He's recognized by the Baule as a god who guides souls into the next world so they don't get stuck at the funeral, so they don't get trapped in the grief of mourning friends and family. And similar to a funeral, the theme of the Judgment card is centered around the idea of a recap or a historic review of life, followed by a procession forward, many times within a group or collective. In the Afro-Brazilian deck over here, the Judgment card has an illustration of Shango, one of my favorite Yoruba deities. Shango is the Orisha of thunder, fire, and justice, who wields a double-sided axe. This brings out certain themes of the Judgment card, like finally breaking free, calling out with news, reawakening oneself, action, karma, and finishing it. I brought out a few small pieces of moldavite here because it's associated with big, powerful shifts in consciousness. The vibration of this stone is strong, and it's often paired with the dwarf planet Pluto, the planet that's assigned to the Judgment card, so it only seemed fitting to bring it out to go along with it. When the Judgment card comes up prominently, know that clarity is at your fingertips, and it's time to tap into your intuition, your intelligence, and your experience. It may lead you to reopen a part of yourself that you forgot about, or find something that you thought you had lost. This card is encouraging you to be bold in the face of change and break on through to the other side. Well, that's all for today on the Judgment card. Thanks for subscribing and liking my video. Have a great rest of your day.